Hello, I am Muhammad Junaid Anjum and welcome to the first lecture of academic writing. Today we will start from the foundation of academic writing. As you know that whenever you build anything you need to focus on the foundation. If your foundation is strong, then you can master the entire concept very easily. So let's start from what you need to do before you begin. First of all, you need to know about the definition of academic writing. It is basically a scholarly language and do not use any curriculums and very focused on the question under the examination, and sometimes you need to provide evidence about the statements you are making in your text. The next thing is, what are the features of good academic writing? Good academic writing is clear, concise, complete, and it is very pleasant to read. And you can see that it is highly focused. And what is the poor academic writing? It uses excessive jargon and highly technical terms. Sometimes that terms and jargons obfuscate the meanings of your text, and your reader may be unclear about your saying. So, you want to write as an expert, so it needs planning and practice. So, practice makes perfect. You need to do a lot of practice. You must have the stamina to accept that your first draft is far from perfect. You need to do a lot of revisions in that, and for that, you need to do a lot of practice. The next question is, when should you start writing? For example, if you start writing from the beginning of your degree, so it will help you generate ideas, it will also keep you motivated and also provide useful practice. However, you will end up with the large chunk of writing and you will never end up with the final thesis or final paper. And on the other hand, if you start writing at the end of your degree, it then you will have the clear idea about your writing and you will need to spend very less time on writing, on wasted writings particularly. However, you will have less practice of writing and it will take longer time for you to master the writing skill. So what is the right way? This course is all about teaching you when should you start and what are the right ways you can adopt. First of all, you need to change your mindset. You should focus on what you want to say, to not pay attention what other think. So always think about what you want to say in your text. The next thing is procrastination. You need to avoid procrastination, and the causes for the procrastination may be the fear and lack of interest. Maybe you will demotivated by some person. You may have lack of time. Excessive perfectionism mean you think that your first draft must be perfect, which is not the case in every time. Lack of clarity about what to do. You may have stress, about deadline. You may have depression, maybe because you don't have any idea and deadline is very near and you need to write a lot of things, and anxiety, etc. So, what are the solutions for these things? There are basically two critical factors. First of all, you need to manage your time, and the second thing, you need to manage your distractions. How can you manage your time? First of all, you must know that every person has finite amount of time, and in that time frame, everyone needs to complete their task. For that, mostly people use Pomodoro technique, which is also known as setting kitchen time. For example, you set time for yourself, particularly for writing, For example, half an hour a day. Then you see how can you write and how can you improve your writing about checking after a week. The next thing is managing the distractions. What the distractions are, for example, Facebook messages, a phone call, a mail pop-up alert, a sudden thought. First of all, you must think that you can't do multitasking. So avoid multitasking and keep a record of your progress. How can you keep record of your progress? You can make weekly checkups and make a form which is also available in the download sections. It may contain these type of questions. What did you accomplish in the last week, and is there anything you wanted to accomplish but you did not, and what useful insight about your writing you have learned in the past week, and what challenges you are experiencing, and if you want to give yourself an advice, what piece of advice you will give to yourself, and what are your top priorities for the upcoming weeks, and if you could get nothing else done this week but one thing, which one would you choose to do, and which one thing would make you happy and proud? What are the benefits of this checklist? It asks you to recognize yourself, your mistakes. It will also give reward to yourself for big or small achievements, and also indicates where your greatest blockage lies, and it will also help you in becoming strategic about your priorities, which is very important. The next thing is self-assessment checklist. You can grade your writing from 1, 2, 3, or 0. Uh, these are the questions you need to ask yourself and give yourself a score, and see at the end what accumulation of the score is, and what in which range your results are lying. For example, 0 to 15, 16 to 30, 31 to 55, and try to improve yourself on weekly basis. I hope you enjoyed this lecture, and please rate this course if you like, and also come to the next lecture and give your valuable reviews. Thank you for watching our channel and our course. We are providing services for proofreading, article formatting, and citation management. And there are much more about the services. For more information, you may contact us on the provided contact details. Thank you. Hello, I am Muhammad Junaid and welcome to the second lecture of academic writing, which is writing process, and in which we will discuss about pre-writing stuff. So first of all, you need to know what are the sources of information. Information has never been readily available as today, and people needed to spend a lot of time in the library to gather the information. So what are the sources of information? Journal or paper, journal papers or articles, books, theses, dissertations, conference proceedings, lecture notes, laboratory activity reports or collaboration reports, grant proposals, scientific magazines, outreach publications. What points you need to be focused? You need to read the sources, extract the valuable information from those sources, and also observe the structure of the written text, and note the writing style of the particular thing you are reading. The next thing is gathering information. There are several online sources available to gather information, which is Science Tract, Springer, Nature, RCS, Web of Sciences, and many more. You can gather information from these type of sources. These are the authentic publishers and provide peer review articles. So the articles are checked by the experts of that field, so information is authentic. The next thing is organization of the gathered information. Once you gathered the information, it needs to be stored, and several reference management softwares available, such as EndNote, which is I personally use and also recommend, Mendeley, Papers, Zotero, and electronic papers can be organized as first author and the year of publication. You may add general name and keep topic, or add the tags to the paper so you can easily find those electronically stored papers. The important thing is you need to keep a record of your library, and if you use latex, you need to create a bibtex. The goal is to easily retrieve any information you have stored when you are needed. Here are some points to be emphasized. The storing and organizing the information is only the half task. A good reader is also a good writer, so you need to develop a good habit of reading, and you need to produce content of your writing. I mean, you need to make points and understand and think what content you want to write. The next thing is capturing the content. The first thing to focus on while reading is the content. How can you capture the content? By taking notes on the paper, or may use annotating papers. Taking notes while reading is best on paper, and these are the tips you can do while you are reading. I mean, how can you take the notes when you are reading? Point out a copy of source you are reading, underline key concepts or results as you read, highlight any factual information you are likely to need again, and this can be a final numerical results and outstanding issue, a key reference to some other sources. Take explanatory notes as you read and try to concise and to be point. And whenever possible, take notes by hand, not on the computer, because if you write anything by hand, it will be memorized in your head, and whenever you are reading, you may have an idea this type of information you have read somewhere, and you can easily retrieve that information. The next thing is paper annotation tool. uh, you forget the content of what you read, because whenever you read a lot of papers, you may have forgot where have you read that particular information. So annotation tool might be very helpful in this scenario, and it is a double-sided A4 sheet containing a set of predefined and general questions, as you can see the sample here. I will also provide this sample in the download section. You can get it and also modify it according to questions and desires. The next thing, capturing the structure, developing a template. As a researcher, you must know that each paper has their own well-defined structure, and this structure may vary from different disciplines or different type of articles, and it is obvious for the inexperienced writers that they must obey the rules for each chapter, sections and paragraphs, and even for the captions for the figures and titles for the tables. And these type of things will be discussed in upcoming lectures. You do not need to worry about it. I will teach you how can you capture the structure, and what things you need to be focused whenever you are reading a paper. The next thing is capturing the style. You must learn from the masters. Improve your writing by paying attention to the writing of master. For example, if you are reading any paper, you need to find a well written paper. You must need to focus on paragraphs, their structure, figure captions, and you need to start copy it by your hand. Whenever you are copying, you must need to focus how sentences are related, what connectors they have used, what types of pronouns or relative clauses they have used, how they use the punctuations, and what are the appropriate length of each sentence. I hope you understand the basics of pre-writing, like this course, and give your valuable reviews. Thank you for watching our channel and our course. We are providing services for proofreading, article formatting, and citation management. And there are much more about the services. For more information, you may contact us on the provided contact details. Thank you. Hello, welcome to the Advanced Academic Writing course, Lecture 3. I am your tutor Muhammad Junaid Anjum, and today we are going to discuss literature review. And in this lecture, I will tell you what are the aspects of doing literature review, starting from the scratch, mean from the definition. First of all, what is the literature review? Literature review is basically present a critical view on the current state of knowledge on the given topic or research area. It is one of the earliest tasks that a scholar or student should perform when starting a research or any writing. This is consists of all the papers or relevant theses or student articles on the particular study. Now, one should think that what are the benefits of the literature review? First of all, it will help you to shape up the research question and identify the key authors of that particular area, and also helps you to identify the journals related to you and what are the latest developments are happening in the recent past, and provides comprehensive overview of the recent knowledge, and most important thing, it will keeps you up to date. Now I want you to see the literature review as a process. Everyone know that nowadays searching a literature review is very easy task, and many tools are available such as Google Scholar, Web of Knowledge, Scopus, and other sources like Medline and Ethos, and also Gray Literature. These are basically laboratory reports, conference proceedings, or posters. Think that from where you should start the process of literature review. You should start with the review article because it comprises all the recent research happened on the particular subject, and also help you to support number of sources you need to decide when to read and why you should read those sources. Also, that you need to scan the content with the keywords relevant to your study and read only those sections which are providing information related to your subject. Once you find the relevant information, then you need to read the whole article. Before that, you do not need to read the whole article. It is also better to print out the paper and attach to the respective paper annotation tool I have discussed before. These are basically the sources from where you can get the academic literature. Now, what is the critical voice and why you should need to develop the critical voice? Whenever you are reading something, you should need to find out what are the discrepancies in their studies so that you can do something new. That's why the critical voice or analysis is very important. What should be included in your critical voice? Looking for the evidence that supports the claim that is an author making in their article. Checking that the author's conclusion follow the sound logical argument, and see that what are the implicit or explicit assumptions are made in the article, and verify that the claims that author making in their article are basically matching with the other scholars, or what your personal experience is telling you about that claim. Now, the general club, it is very helpful tool to keep yourself and your friend up to date, and it will reduce the burden of reading so many papers by one person only. Basically, a journal club is an informal gathering of scholars who meet to discuss and critique a selected paper, and it will help you to improve the personal critical skills, ability to evaluate the other work, and also build the confidence in you so that you can face the different arguments and It will prepare you for the objections that may your reader or maybe your peer reviewers made when you are writing your article. I hope you understand a journal club. These are the tips for making the journal club. I will give you in the download section, and these are the items you need to discuss in your journal club, and these are the really important. If you follow these things, I don't think so you will not the master the subject. You will definitely master the subject if you follow these rules, and these are the experienced and tested rules that I am discussing here, and all of the things I am telling you from the books and from the personal experience. Now you need to see how can you take literature review as a product. First of all, what are the key functions of a literature review? These are the basic features such as it will keep you up to date, locate the gap in the particular research area, and provides the justification for undertaking the study, and demonstrate your knowledge on the particular area of the subject, and provides evidence to support your claims. Or like if some other person did the same thing and their results are matching with your results, you can say that already published data also confirming your results, it means you are right about it. The other things, what are the types of literature review? There are basically four types in which we can divide the literature review: traditional, systematic, meta-analysis, and meta-synthesis. What are the traditional or narrative literature review? Basically, it provides a summary of selected body of literature review as a comprehensive background on a current research topic. This is systematic, meta-analysis, meta-synthesis. I want to mention here a traditional review basically used in most of the scientific subjects, and other literature reviews mostly used in the social sciences or policy making. Now, how to write the literature review? First of all, you need to identify the research question. What are you looking for? Now, break down the individual components of research questions if it is applicable to your, and then consider the order of presentation of the information and map out the main point and provide relevant references. Keep clear writing direction. I will also be discussing some techniques to organize the thoughts in preparation for writing. I want to emphasize here, consider the order of presentation of information is very important. Most of the time, if you are science student, you need to tell about the particular subject first, introduce that subject a brief, and then tell what are the benefits and applications of that particular thing, and then try to summarize some previous work, and then try to summarize what are the gaps or what are the disadvantages of other work, and then you need to tell what is the novelty of your work, why your work is important. So you need to consider the order of your information, and this should follow the sequence so that the reader is clear about your finding and what are the research gaps are present. Now, the citing the other words. Use paraphrasing instead of direct quotation. Mean you do not copy paste the other work. You need to take the information, take the idea, and write that idea in your own word. And always provide reference on any result, graph, theory, or idea you have taken from the other work. In general, any claim or statement must be backed up by sufficient evidence, except from common knowledge such that the sun rises from the east. It is a common fact. You do not need to cite anything for that. Reports on academic assessment requires references of common knowledge. So must be keep in your mind. The other thing is literature review matrix. The matrix is merely a table that lists a series of specific research questions or aspects of interest and their corresponding results as obtained in previous studies. If the extent of your literature review is too broad, consider using different matrices, possibly arranged only by theme. For example, one of the table you can arrange on the basis of the findings. The next table you can prepare advantages and disadvantages, and you can also make the table like the history, when this thing is happened, then what transition happened in what year, and follow the timeline to the present year. Also prepare the annotation tool, and these are the very helpful tools to provide a quick overview of a single paper. You do not need to read a paper once again, so it will reduce so much time, and that time you can consume in writing practice. I hope you understand and like this lecture. Please rate this course and give your valuable reviews. Thank you for watching our channel and our course. We are providing services for proofreading, article formatting, and citation management. And there are much more about the services. For more information, you may contact us on the provided contact details. Thank you. Hello, welcome to the Advanced Academic Writing, and today we will discuss the fourth lecture of academic writing, which is the British and American English. I will provide you a short guide. What are the differences and what things you need to focus when you are writing or reading your article for proofreading. As you know that British and American English speakers can understand each other very easily, and there is a little bit confusion in vocabulary. However, whenever you are writing an academic article, you need to focus on vocabulary, spelling, academic language, and punctuations also. Let's focus on vocabulary first. There are many vocabulary items which differ between British and American English, uh, but there are two main problematic variations, such as words which are not commonly understood in both countries and words with different meaning in each country. Words not commonly understood, such as in UK, mostly people call tap, and in US, it is called faucet. In UK, mostly use nappy, and for US, it is diaper. There are some words with different meanings, such as vest worn under a shirt in UK. However, it is a part of three-piece suit in US. So this is the vocabulary differences between two languages. You can see further differences on Oxford website, so you can learn more about the differences between the British and US English. Now move on to the spelling. In American English, basically U is commonly dropped from the words ending. Neighbor become neighbor, as mean pronunciation is same, but you can see the differences in the spelling. Similarly, the word ending in ISE or YSE in British English, such as sanitize or modernize, become S changes to Z in American English. Similarly, a group of technical nouns such as hemophilic or fetus, it will lose the spelling, such as OE or maybe AE in American English, and it will become hemophilic and fetus. British English spelling the noun practice, but the word practice. In American English, both forms are spelled with the C. You can see the difference between the American and British English spelling. Similarly, many words ending in RE in British English, such as meter, theatre, become meter. You can see the position of E is changing. So the writing is different in American English and in British English. You need to focus on the spelling. Whenever you are writing an article, you need to decide in which English you want to write your article, whether you want to write in American English or in British English. Next thing is academic language, such as British and America. I will show you some differences, such as in UK, students read, study a subject or do a subject. Teaching in UK universities is done by the lecturer, while a professor is a senior position. A college is usually any post-school institution which provides mainly vocational training but does not award the degree. Master's degree is a postgraduate program in UK, and students may revise the subject. However, in America, students study or major in a subject, and colleges and universities teaching is mainly done by professors and assistant professors. College is usually part of a university and does give the first degree. Master's degree is a graduate student, and students may review the topic, and student gets grades, not receive the marks as in the British. The other thing is punctuation. I will show you some differences in punctuation. For example, in Britain, quotations are shown by single quotation marks, while nested quotations use double. As an example, you can see his concepts of internal space requires close analysis. You can observe that full stop comes after the quotation marks and comma is omitted before the final and dates usually begin with the day. For example, you can see that 30th November 2020. The opposite convention is used. For example, you can see his concept of internal space requires close analysis. You can see full stop comes inside the quotation mark and comma before the final and in a list is used. It is Oxford Comma Guide. You can refer that guide for further understanding. And dates are generally written with the month first. As an example, November 30th, 2020. You can see the differences between the punctuation in the British English and the American English. I hope you got the idea about the differences between the British and American English. Please review the course and give your valuable feedback. Thank you for watching our channel and our course. We are providing services for proofreading, article formatting, and citation management. And there are much more about the services. For more information, you may contact us on the provided contact details. Thank you. Hello, welcome to the fifth lecture of academic writing. And today we are going to discuss the drafting steps. First of all, you must know that what is your audience, and after that you can start writing your draft. You should spend some time on asking these questions to yourself such that you can have some idea about your audience. First of all, you should know who will read your article and what will be their background. And if you know their background, you can have an idea about that, how familiar are they with your topic. It is also important that you should know what knowledge do they already have about your field. I mean, what are the changes are happening in your field? Are they familiar with that or not? And what piece of information do they need at each point in your paper or thesis so that they can understand your thesis, your hypothesis, your research very easily. We can divide the audience according to the type of the document. For example, thesis, research paper, or proposal grant. The next thing is, for example, you are writing a thesis, then your audience may include examiners or scientists of your field or maybe some junior students, and these different categories of audience may have different background knowledge and may have different expectations from you. So you need to cater your writing by keeping this mind. You need to address all of them. I want to give some tips on that. You should include some specific chapter and summarize the key aspects of your theory and provide appropriate definition of some technical words you are using or technical terms you are using in your article. And if possible, add appendices with further details on specific items. The best thing you must keep in your mind is that you should cater your article according to the least knowledgeable person of your field. And the next thing, for example, if you are writing a research article, your audience may be the wide range of audience or maybe particular to your field. It It would depend upon the impact factor of your article. What is impact factor? Basically, it is the number of publications in specific journal and how much citation they got in that year. That basically concludes the impact factor of that particular journal. For example, if you are writing an article for specialized journal, your audience may be of the same background. However, if you are writing your article for high impact factor, your audience may differ. Maybe they have wider audience because maybe they are covering different topics, and because of that they are getting more citations and they have high impact factor. So what are the tips to cater this type of things? You should convey the importance of your study in that way the person who do not belongs to your field can also understand your article, and you should explain that why your article deserves the broader dissemination. This is most important thing. Same, you should cater the article according to least knowledgeable person. The next thing, for example, if you are writing a grant proposal, so your audience may have different background. Maybe some of them are from the technical field, or maybe some are from business field, administrating field. They may have different background, or readership will be very heterogeneous. So you need to keep these tips in your mind. Use a language that a non-technical and technical person can understand, and provide enough background of your study so that they can understand the importance of your work. And you should write your motivation about your work so that they can understand your enthusiasm for it. And you must need to provide some reasons why should they release these funds for you. You need to make them realize that this is the need of present world, so that they can release the fund for you. And you should also mention that why are you the best person for this grant or for this funding if you are applying for the fellowship. So it is very important to identify your audience. The next thing is talking about your research. There could be different block, for example writer block. Writer block basically focus on your article become right in structure and organization. And you in this block you will be talking about your research to both experts and non-experts. And you must think that whether you can conclude your article in 10 minutes or not if you are presenting it to someone. And allow the listeners to ask questions so that you can improve your article. Here is the point: how questions can help you. Question can help you to clarify the meaning of any jargon or technical term that you may think that everyone knows about it, but they do not know about that particular jargon or term. So they will ask about that particular term, and you will add the background of that term. It also provide additional background of the information, and it also help to place the research in wider context. It will also help you to clarify your concepts so that you can express your article in more engaging way. Here is the big statement that minor changes can have the huge impacts on the audience. For example, you have spent a lot of time on your own project, and maybe you think that everyone knows about it too because you have read a lot of articles. But this is not the case in real life, so that you should adopt a language, and you should use that language to the knowledge that your reader possesses. So, in this regard, minor adjustments can improve the reader experience, and the purpose of the article to improve the reader's experience. If it is not engaging, readers can't understand, your article is in vain. So, what key adjustments can you perform in your article? You can add brief explanations of technical terms in a footnote or add background sections to summarize your key aspects. And you can also add some well crafted diagrams or sketches that effectively illustrate your concept. Most of them you can also express your idea in a graphical abstract, and you can show it to your friends and some colleagues so that they can give you comment whether they can understand your concept or not from that particular illustration. The next thing is getting the structure right. You should describe your work as a story so that audience are engaged till end of your article. So each story has the following parts. For example, there should be some beginning of the story, what and why of this project you are doing. In the middle, you are telling that how did you carry out your work, so that they can understand what was your approach and how effective it was at the end. And at the end, you should tell that what is the differences of your studies in bigger picture, how significant your study is. So key points in that: remove unnecessary information that can distract the audience from the main point. You can provide the map for your reader to follow. Mind maps are mostly used to present the idea in a graphical or illustrative way. Basically, mind maps are the graphical representation of organized information, so that it can show some connection of your ideas, topics, or item to the central concept. Mostly, it is used by educators, psychologists, and other for activities associated with learning, brainstorming, memorizing, visual thinking, and problem solving. What are the key features of mind maps? It provides a starting point for planning the overall structure, and it also helps to organize large quantity of information without the risk of forgetting the key elements. It can also be expanded to the greater level of detail by creating new mind map for individual sections. And project can easily be modified as you can think new ideas during your project. This is an example of a mind map, basically stated the state and gender equality in the empowerment. I hope you understand this lecture and understand the basic concepts of drafting process. Please rate this lecture and give your valuable feedback. Thank you for watching our channel and our course. We are providing services for proofreading, article formatting, and citation management. And there are much more about the services. For more information, you may contact us on the provided contact details. Thank you. Hello, welcome to the sixth lecture of academic writing. And today we are going to discuss the revising step. If you remember, in previous lecture, we have discussed the drafting step. After the drafting, you need to revise your first draft. If there is any mistakes, you can remove the mistakes. Today we will discuss the revising steps in detail. First of all, the triage approach is very appropriate and mostly used by medical doctors, and you need to focus on checking and refining the structure. And you need to tackle each issue in turns. For example, if there is a problem in structure, you need to correct all the structure. If there is a problem in grammar, you need to correct all the grammar. But you can't do that first. Simultaneously you are doing the grammar correction and also the structure correction. You need to focus what thing you are going to address. Also divide the issue with the level of urgency, which thing is more important at the present time. Could be the common problems. The common problems can be divided into four main categories, such as it could be faulty organization, lack of clarity, inappropriate usage of language, or poor grammar. First of all, we need to discuss faulty organization. It could be associated with poor structure. The most common problem of early drafts mean whenever you write a first draft, it is the most common problem that your organization is not correct. And this is basically expected from the inexperienced writers. The next thing is lack of clarity. The lack of clarity may be depend of number of factors such as poor structure, ambiguous referencing, awkward language. These questions can help you to improve the clarity of your article. First of all, you must know what you want to say. The next thing you need to focus on that. Are you saying that thing you want to describe in your article? And think that what impression you want to leave in the reader's mind. This is the most important thing. The other thing is inappropriate usage of language. Basically, you need to use a language that can be understood by everyone, and you need to provide a sufficient level of details and background information, as I have told you in the previous lectures. And the important thing is that the tone, you can see, the tone should be neutral in scientific writing. You need to avoid these things such as colloquialisms, a second personal pronoun. This is very important. Phrasal verbs, because maybe most of the persons do not know what are the appropriate meaning of that phrasal verbs, because most of the reader may be not from the English countries, so they do not know the regular phrasal verbs. So avoid the phrasal verbs. The redundancy and ambiguity, and also avoid contractions, imperatives. Next thing is the usage of poor grammar, and mostly early draft found this problem. You need to establish a set of rules on how words and sentences are combined together to provide meaning. Basically, this is the grammar. We cannot discuss this thing in this lecture. I hope we will be covering this in upcoming lecture. Now, I want to give you some tips. First of all, in previous lectures, you have already learned how to organize the structure by using mind maps. Now, if you organize the structure and you started writing, you need to follow some type of structure. For example, pyramidal structure, logical sequence, chronological structure. You need to choose which structure you will follow in your article. And there is an other structure which is compare and contrast structure, problem to solution structure. First of all, pyramidal structure. If you are proceeding from general to specific thing or specific to general thing, it is called as a pyramidal structure. In general to specific, the pyramidal structure is often used in introduction section. You started from the background of the study to narrow down your literature and come to this particular problem you want to discuss in your article. And in specific to general, normally used in conclusion sections. Here is the picture. Logical sequence basically presents information that is logical in argument. It is often used in mathematical or theoretical work to demonstrate a proposition as an outcome of your hypothesis. And chronological structure is useful when you are describing methods or procedures, especially if a strict temporal sequence is a part of approach used, and occasionally it can be used to present results. The next is compare and contrast. It is showing that used in literature review to critically compare the works of others so that you can make a proposition that this problem exists and this type of solution are not working for this particular problem. You can also use this structure in the discussion section to compare the results with the other studies. The name is also suggest problem to solution when you are describing some problem and then giving the solution of that particular problem. And mostly this type of approach used in grant applications. The next thing is paragraph as a building blocks. There are two main purposes of paragraph. Break down the text into visual chunks so that people can make a visual idea what you are talking about, and it also provides the building blocks to construct the text. Paragraph can be consist of three parts I will be discussing in this slide. a moment later. And paragraph also contain transition elements to connect paragraphs together. And it is very important to focus first on revising each paragraph. You cannot revise all the paragraphs at once. First need to focus that particular paragraph is describing the background you want to describe in that particular paragraph. First of all, a paragraph should have opening statement that introduce the readers to the main topic or idea. The other part is development part. In this section, you will add information or supporting statement so that you can build your argument towards your conclusion. And the last part is conclusion, when few lines summarizes the information presented in that particular paragraph. You can see that transition plus key idea plus development of the key idea. The next thing is reverse outlining. The structure of individual paragraph should be checked and it should contain only one or two key ideas, not so many ideas you need to discuss in one paragraph. You need to choose and describe only one or two ideas in a particular paragraph. In this thing, you can apply the reverse outline, such as extracting the key ideas from each paragraph and copying them into the separate file and compare them and arrange them according to organization that provides better view of your article. Check their logical sequence and reorder them if they lack the logical sequence. The next thing is linking the paragraphs together. This is very important. How will you link two paragraphs together so that the story doesn't break? Transition words often used to link paragraphs and each word provides an idea of the structure. Chronological structure transition word, for example, first, second, meanwhile, and finally. For it is showing the sequence and transition from one thing to another. Other linking is that general to specific structure, such as, for example, specifically to illustrate, like that. The next approach is least to most important structure, most importantly, the foremost, clearly. This type of words can be used. Pair and construct structure are basically use the words similarly, by contrast, in comparison, and problem to solution approach mostly use the words but, however, nevertheless, instead. Parallel structure approach. Refer to the grammatical form of the item in a list, and items may be nouns, phrases, or clauses. But you need to focus that the form chosen for the first item on the list must be repeated in all others. As you can see that their careful planning mean adjective and noun and proper execution, adjective and noun, is followed. Similarly, he failed the exam not only because of poor preparation, prepositional phrase, but also because of the time management, prepositional phrase. Similarly, this example is showing the objective clause. So you can see that the form chosen in the first item must be repeated in all other. Most appropriate approach is to get feedback about your writing. For example, when you complete your early draft, you need to focus on, are ideas appropriate, enough, or relevant? And to whom you can ask these questions. You can allow your fellow colleagues and students to read your early draft and you can ask this question from them. The next thing is middle draft. In this section, you need to focus on how are ideas clear, coherent, well structured. For this, you need to ask for the experience postdoc or your supervisor. And finally, in the final draft, you need to focus on overall content. Is the work correct, accurate, comprehensive? And for this, you need to ask your supervisor and other experts. Hope you understand the revising step and you may have the idea of what things you need to focus on when you are revising your article. Please rate this course and give your valuable feedback. Hello, welcome to the seventh lecture of academic writing, and today we are going to discuss the editing steps. Here is the editing stages, and this line, I love this line basically. This is the step where writing meets the elegance. Here you can improve your writing and make the article very beautiful to the readers. You should spend enough time editing and polishing your draft so that your audience may have interest in your article. The main task is to communicating information and knowledge in an interesting and engaging way. So it is very important to polish your article very carefully. Scientific style in academic writing is basically more formal because it is discipline specific vocabulary used in that article. It is impersonal and it refers to the other's work also. Here are the key features of scientific language. It is accurate, specific, concise, and clear. Most importantly, it is cautious. Features of scientific language. First of all, accurate. Words used usually convey very particular meaning that may differ from everyday life. For example, speed and velocity are two different concepts in scientific language, so as mass and weight. The next thing is language should be specific. Always adopt a specific quantitative language. For example, the simulation ran quickly. It is very general. You can describe this in more elegant way. The simulation required only 2 hours on a single computer processor. So you can see that it is more quantitative and provide more information and very specific. The next thing is concise. You should describe the thing briefly and to the point. Avoid overly long and complex sentences, ambiguous words, and unnecessary repetition of the same information. As a rule of thumb, try to use one idea per sentence and one theme per paragraph. This is very important. The next feature is clear. The language should strive for both clarity and brevity. So avoid run-on sentences that lead to reader fatigue. For example, we ran a model simulation of the setup for investigation of dependency of detectors efficiency on the energy of gamma rays. We can better describe this as we ran a setup simulation to investigate how the detector's efficiency depend on gamma rays. You can see that it is providing the same information but in much clearer way and in much shorter length. Avoid strong statements such as you can see that seldom, rarely, unlikely, improbable. This is low certainty. You are not making a very strong statement. For example, if you are giving some medium level of certainty, you can use these words like probably, perhaps. However, if you are using high certainty like certainly, definitely, totally, always, never, must mean you are very sure about it. And scientific language forbid these type of statements. So you should be in medium level of certainty so that in future if some other research came and overthrow your claim, so you can say that it was medium level of certainty. The next is objective. Use an evidence-based reasoning. We show through a thorough analysis that our model result in consistent with observation, and we see that we believe our model result to be true. You can see that here is no objective. It is your belief, but here you are giving the results with reference to some analysis. So this is the good thing. Now I wish to share some pearl of wisdom. Good writing has the following qualities. It has clarity, simplicity, coherence, and these qualities can be added by using verbs, not nouns. Use the active voice whenever possible. Place subject and verb close together. Use short words instead of long ones, and declutter your text means short your text, not use a lot of unnecessary information to enhance the pages of your article. Avoid negatives. Here I wish to discuss words in action, and they can be categorized as weak words such as to do, to be, to have, to make, and strong words. I will show the strong words in a while. What is interesting about viruses is that their genetic stock is very meager. You can write this thing as viruses originate from a surprisingly meager genetic stock. You can say that short and clear and verbs in action are used. These are the examples of some strong verbs. These are the very strong words. The next thing is verbs in disguise. Avoid abstract noun and use verbs. As I told you, you mostly use verbs. Noun ending with ion, ment, this type of ending comes from verbs. To replace the abstract noun with its corresponding verbs may improve the style and clarity. For example, make a recommendation, it is better to use recommended. Formulate an argument, it is better to use argue. So it's mean that it is better to use verb rather than use abstract nouns, because you need to use verb and abstract noun, and it will also reduce the clarity of your article or your sentence. The next thing is personal pronouns. The use of personal singular pronouns such as I should normally be avoided. I is sometimes needed in PhD thesis as a way to identify the specific contribution. Scientific research paper use of I is almost universally avoided. We do not use like I did this thing. We sometimes allowed as a replacement. The next thing is declutter your text. Some journal place strict limits on words or page numbers. And I have seen many journals, for example, the Croatian Science restricts you to write your abstract in just 100 words. In that scenario, you need to declutter your text and you need to scan the important information from your text and just provide that information in limited amount of words, and you need to describe in engaging manner. Precise of paragraphs is a good practice. Text can be decluttered by eliminating waste words, avoid repetition, and using affirmative statements. The next thing, awkward phrases and waste words. An effective way of polishing the text is to identify and eliminate the empty words or phrases, means there is, there are, it should be stressed, that, as can be seen. These are basically giving no meaning to your sentence. You can write it better. So you may avoid this type of words and can declutter your text. Long-winded saying can often be expressed clearly as single words. Keep your style trim and fit. For example, an adequate amount of can be replaced with enough. At the present time can be replaced by now. By mean of, it can only be used by. So with the use of these words you can declutter your text and you can remove many unnecessary words, and you can present your article in much interesting and clear way. The next thing is transition words. Avoid overusing transition words. Sparingly use such as obviously, undoubtedly, clearly, unique. They can emphasize, convey confidence, and instill a sense of trust, a crucial factor in persuading referees in grant proposal application. The next thing is redundant information. Try to cutting down redundancy, needless words or repetition. It will help to shorten your sentence and also make your text reader friendly. Lastly, the negative statements. Three possible ways of negative expression, which is adding not to the main verb, using negative noun, adjectives or adverbs, never, nothing, none, no one, such this type of noun, adjectives or adverbs. Adding a negative prefix, none, like that, to the affirmative words. Use of two negatives can generate confusion and ambiguity. So avoid using two negatives together, such as you are using not and un like this. Negative statements require a little extra time to process by our minds, our brains. So it will reduce the understanding about your article and make the reader unclear. If possible, avoid use of negatives. I want to give some examples. Although these results are not in good agreement with simulated values, the discrepancy was regarded as not significant as mostly due to the many approximation made regarding the position of the alpha source. You can better write this as because of many approximation made about the alpha source position, we regard the result to be in fair agreement with the simulation. And you can see that the above sentence in first may give the impression that the simulations are not in agreement with the simulation results. So it will make the reader unclear. I hope you understand the context of this lecture, rate this course and give your valuable feedback.